name is Tatiana Shalepko. I'm Cambridge University Press and Assessment ELT consultant. And our today topic is, are you teenagers ready to use English for life? So, I'm happy to see you all, and I'm happy that you are spending this wonderful Friday evening with the webinars again. I will just slightly remind you that you will receive the certificates in 5 days after this webinar. And we are ready to start. So, hello from Kharkiv, hello from Sumy, Vinnytsia, Poltava, Lviv, Kyiv, Kyiv, Кам'янець-Подільський, Кривий Ріг. Oh, I'm so happy to see all the cities all the time. Everyone is here. All the map is here. Hello from Dnipro. Hello, hello. Okay, I don't have to read all the names of the cities, but I'm hello from Zaporizhia. Hi. I think yeah, I think we will be starting. So I decided to make this webinar really light, without any difficult topics. I will follow up with some useful resources. When the webinar is over, you will receive thank you letters to fill out the form as usual. I'm sorry for that. I know you've been filling out the forms all the time, but that's the procedure. Sorry for that. And it makes my life much easier. I can track your email addresses normally, because you sometimes change them, and it's good to have the updates all the time. In any case, you will receive the letters, you will fill out the form, after which you will get your certificates, and I will share some useful resources for you so you can continue your professional development during the summer. And my first simple question, why do we study language? Hello from everywhere. We are now up to the webinar. Why do we study language? Please type that in the chat. Yes, to communicate. Yay! To communicate. To broaden the horizons and be free. I love it. Oh, to travel, to broaden the vision for life. That's great. To work, to process information, to be independent, to learn other cultures. Oh, this is so great for many purposes. Yes, of course, for many purposes. To get information, to be a better version of ourselves. Oh, I love it. To understand somebody's mindset. Great. It's a bridge between countries. This is so beautiful. Okay, thank you very much. I see to be wild. Thank you for that. I see that communication is our winner in the chat for today. But let's think, why do we study? If we're not talking about the language, why do we study at all? And back to the chat. To make life easier? I'd say to make life more complicated. To develop, to be educated, successful, get a job and money. Very economic approach to improve. The more we study, the more we know. Thank you. We are eager to get knowledge in different spheres, to grow. That's a beautiful answer. Not to have troubles when we are old. Of personal development. To live in society. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that answer. To be humans, to socialize, to be a part of society. This is a very important. I will now stop reading. I finally saw my personal winner. Of course, the general winner is to develop and to be a better person. But this is very individual. And when we think about the language, and you said that we study language to communicate. And why do we study generally? Yes, we study to be a part of the society, to be a part of some culture, to carry this culture further, right? And of course, there are problems in the culture, especially in contemporary culture. There are a lot of problems that we are dragging from the past, from the previous generations, and we push it further for some reason because it's a habit. But we study to be a part of society, to survive, actually, because this is how humans survived. They befriended each other. This is a very, very important note for the next question. And the next question would be, what's your first association with the phrase student's performance? I will tell you later how it's combined, but what is student's performance for you? And as usual, I'm forcing you to use Slido. No, I'm not having any percentage of it, but we are just eager to make teachers more friendly with different kinds of technologies, and we keep using Slido. I promise you that next time I will use something new. But as of now, let's try to answer here. Join Slido, so the answers appear on the board here on the slide. What's your first association with the phrase student's performance? The level of knowledge. Okay. Self-realization. Okay. Students show their knowledge. The way how the students use acquired skills. That's a great one. What else? I believe there is someone in the chat as well typing, right? Okay. Level of engagement, involvement. Wow. I had to do the whole PhD to realize the things that you are actually writing here. Thank you. What do we have here? The ability to deal with the academic series taken during school or university. Wow, great. Capacity to communicate, self-confidence, success. Use of language, eagerness to speak, okay? Level of knowledge, confidence and skills. How much do the students realize their potential? Wow, this is so different. So you see, we from here, we might think, so we study language to perform it. We study anything to be able to perform it. Because when we perform something, we become a part of society. To perform something means to do something in real situation in life. When others are watching you, when others are listening to you, when you are visible, and to do something, to perform means to do something completely, to succeed in something, like to perform in learning, to perform on stage, to perform in business, to perform in sports. This is not only about the success, but this is to be visible, to manifest something to the world, right? And even if this to the world is just in front of the classroom, or to the world is just in front of your parents, but still you manifest something to the world. And this is huge if you think about it. Thank you for your answers. Those are great answers. When we think about the word performance and to perform, it sounds so simple and understandable, this word. But if you dig deeper, we will see that the understanding of the word performance is very low in Ukraine. And there is the whole performative culture and what happened after the communicative revolution, what happened at the same time maybe with communicative revolution in linguistics and methodology. It happened a little bit broader in the culture, the performative turn. It all started from this guy you can see on the slide. I don't think anyone recognizes this guy because today I saw him for the first time in my life on the photo and put it here. But look at him. He looks so sneaky and funny. And he is the author of performative, from him, the performative turn in linguistics started. This is John L. Austin, and this is his book, written well in 1955. In 1955 he gave a series of lectures in Harvard University. And the series of lectures were somewhere in between philosophy and linguistics. And it's called How to Do Things with Words. And we need to understand, I'm now talking to you more of a person to person, not teacher to teacher. Because we sometimes get so narrow in our methodology search, in our professional development in grammar or lexical material, or how to find a nice communicative activity, that we don't really pay attention to a huge picture of what's going on while we are working, what huge changes are happening in the world. And all these changes are usually happening in philosophy. And John L. Austin had this very powerful idea that later influenced the way we use media, the way why all this Facebook, Instagram, and other things were created, and the way propaganda works, for example, the way we understand news from fake news, the way we perform in the world using this different media instruments. And this is huge because he said that the word can be an action. The word can change social reality. In this case, such word is a performative word because it is an action, because it is seen and realized by everyone around. And that is why we really need to understand how powerful language is, because it can change social reality. Uh, because it brings a lot of cultural codes, and in a specific context, in specific circumstances, things can become different for a lot of people just with the power of some words, with the power of speech, right? For example, and he gives us example. He says that, for example, I do, in the circumstances of getting married, changes social reality at least for two people. And in this case, I do is not a sentence. I do becomes an action that is realized by others, the action that is followed by a ceremony, and it is witnessed. And this is again an important part here, that we witness something that is a performance. And the performance it can be a speech act. And we can see how our life can be changed by one speech. And we, as teachers of English, are the ones who are responsible for giving this power to our students. And having this in mind could be really interesting for your mindset as for teachers. And again, I'm not, I told you before that in this webinar, I'm not going to do it very practical. It's more of a light webinar for you to get motivated and maybe to think of something different during the summer, apart from workbooks or things like that. Because that I will definitely share with you later. But yeah, but today I would really like to share some thoughts that I'm having recently. Performative turn. Have you ever seen this picture? And do you know who this is? Anyone? Maybe. No, no, no. Have you ever seen this? Maybe someone did. I'm pretty sure that you know very well who this is. She's just too young there. Okay, I will reveal this secret. Um, this is, and you don't really have to know anything about. Alina, thank you, Marina Abramovic. Yes, this is Marina Abramovic. I am sharing this information not to show you that you don't know something. I'm just now. Um, Maybe some of you know me, and you know that I work as a theater director as well. And at the moment, I'm not making performances or shows or anything, but I'm studying the philosophy of culture and ontology of performativity and theater. And there are a lot of things for the language and for the methodology and for the way you teach in absolutely different sphere of science. And this is amazing how very different things can inspire you for something new. So performative turn. This is what happened to the culture, and this is what gave the beginning of, let's say, contemporary culture, the way we know it these days. And one of the biggest performers is Marina Abramovic. She is an artist who made performances, for example, like this. Her other huge work was For example, she's a Yugoslavian whose country was completely ruined, and she found herself having no country at some point, and she was making performances particularly about that, and she was the voice of that um, terror that was happening back then. She was the voice of a person who lost the country in the war, um, and she was quite an audible voice for all the cultural society in Europe and in the USA especially. So this is her lover Ulay and husband, ex-husband, and the performance here is it's about trust between them, and he's keeping an arrow, she's keeping the bow, and they are bending here, balancing, and there is no security in it except for complete attention of these two people on each other. And there are other performances by her like that. I suggest you Google some. But she also worked a lot. She worked a lot with an action, and there were action words sometimes, but mostly actions. But we're not talking about Marina Abramovic. She's just one of the greatest performers. I suggest you checking out. We are talking about performance studies. She is very often very important object of performance studies and performance theorists from all around the world. For example, Richard Schechner is another scientist, professor of performance studies, and he's also a theater director and a practitioner and so on and so on. And he has this wonderful performance theory book where he says this thing. The more aware we are of what we or others are doing, the more those actions can be called performances. And again, this is not about the show. This is not about art. This is about your social performance. Thus, a particular molecule of action may or may not be a performance depending on one's awareness of action. With awareness comes the ability to adjust your own actions and how you interpret the actions of others. Again and again, you are performing as you watch other people perform, while others perform as they watch you perform. And this is, for me, a lot about awareness. And we, according to Richard Schechner, he says that we are performing all the time, depending on the level of awareness. Yeah, any action can be seen as performance as long as you are aware of what you're doing. For example, whatever you are doing now, you're performing. You're performing something. For example, you're performing the way you grow professionally. You're performing interest, or you are performing boredom. At the moment we are now speaking. If we talk about the language, for example, when you are speaking English or any other language, you are saying what you're going to say, the sentence, but at the same time, you perform your identity. You perform the direction of your identity. When you speak English, you also perform that you are a part of an English-speaking culture, English-speaking environment. When you speak Ukrainian, the same. You perform that you are part of Ukrainian culture, Ukrainian speaking environment. And it's a very simple social performance of how you are becoming a part of this social group or other social group. And when you brush your teeth, you're performing. Yeah, you might be standing in front of the mirror and brush your teeth and be aware of what exactly you're doing. Sometimes you might fall out and stop performing this action. In that case, you are just performing something else. Yeah, like especially in the morning, you're brushing your teeth and you might be thinking about the plans for your further day, whatever you have there. Then you stop performing, and then again you get back this awareness of brushing your teeth, and you perform again because you are witnessing yourself. And this is something we have to develop among our students, the awareness of what's going on when we are speaking English, when we are doing this particular task. I will ask you now to continue the sentence in the chat. I understand that my students are aware of what is going on at the lesson from the way they, and that's up to you. I have no idea what you are going to write. I actually don't know what I would write, so I will think together with you. Participate, report to me, answer the questions, react, start speaking, produce. Looking at me, that's a good one. Thank you for that. Behave, very important. Yes, the way they look at me, the way they respond, the way they behave, the way they participate. Other ideas? Cooperate with me and each other, participates. Okay. Okay, behave is the winning word. The way they behave. How do you understand how students look at you? I'm asking these questions, and here is another question to follow up. It would be so great if we could see each other in reality and talk to each other in reality for this topic, because it's so very sensitive and important things. Facilitate mutual efforts in learning process. Something very smart. I would, the way they cooperate, participate, cooperate. Yeah, these are all really great answers. Thank you for that. And I'm also in the middle of research here, but I would say that very important here thing here, you understand that someone is aware of what is going on between you and someone from the way they move. This is a very important thing here, because cooperate, this is something, how do you see that people cooperate? How do you see that people communicate? It can only, look, for me, it's very, very good, very good indicator. If someone is looking into your eyes or onto your hands, or generally on you, in this case, you understand, there is the connection. But also movement is very important for the performance. The body language. Again, it sounds very simple, but it's a huge thing that we understand that someone is aware from the way they move, from the way they are behaving, and behavior here is performed through the body. Everything is performed through the body. Smile, laugh, body language. Yes, exactly. That's very, very important thing to observe among your students, how they behave. Online lessons. we have other webinars for that. But again, you can see me move now, and I believe you can see that I'm super enthusiastic about this topic from the way I move. And the only thing you have to do is to make your students turn on the cameras. And I know how challenging sometimes this is, but there are techniques to make it work. Worked with my students, at least. We were showing small performances to the camera. And again, it's about performance at the lesson. And it's important to see the movement. It's important to see every molecule of action, every molecule of action, and make each of this action to be with the raised awareness. Okay. How to create a lifelike English-speaking environment at your lessons. It doesn't matter whether it's English-speaking or Ukrainian-speaking or even not a speaking lesson. The lifelikeness is very much about this performance. And you, of course, start from yourself. Your student's performance is the reflection of your performance, because this is how we socialize. We're trying to reflect each other. And someone was saying the way students respond, you understand that they are aware, the way they respond, the way they behave. Behaving in front of somebody else is performing for somebody else. And if your students are performing boredom or performing disrespect, there should be something in this connection between two of you that one of you have to fix, or doesn't have to fix. It might be just happening, but the whole thing starts from the performance of yourself. And of course, you can have this all the set of cultural things in your classroom, or for the background of your presentation, PowerPoint presentation, in online lessons. But this is just the representation of representation and so on, and let's not get to all this philosophical things. You can learn songs together, you can do all the cultural things together. But it's not only about this, yeah. The posters, the books, the magazines, these items, they create the atmosphere of some different culture, of some different artistic representation, cultural heritage, but not the real world culture. Because culture is also about what we eat, how we speak to each other, how we are greeting. And the cultural heritage is what can be hanging on the walls. And what is an English-speaking environment? It's a place where students feel safe, first of all, safe to communicate, where students feel free to express themselves, which is to perform, where they learn English. They don't just test their knowledge, they don't just try to be successful, they actually learn it. Where they learn something new apart from the language. And that is a very important thing for the performance, because if we take I speak English, right? But I am speaking about something different and I'm performing something different while I'm speaking English. And this is the most important part of what I am to say, right? Not just look at me, I speak English, but I'm talking about some different concept, or I'm discussing something, or I'm playing a game, or just performing. And something beyond language should be in a focus. And I am highlighting this every time. You have to focus on something beyond the language. The language shouldn't be the only objective of the lesson. It is important, grammar is important, but it's not the focus if you want to develop the ability of your students to use English for life. Of course, if you have the test tomorrow and today you need to revise everything, or you have a grammar lessons, this focus will be moved to the grammar itself, right? But if we're talking about the tasks and the ability to make decisions, to solve problems, to collaborate, communicate, create, think critically, and so on and so far, and be socially responsible, we have to focus on very different things, which is on the tasks. A place where students have fun and get motivated to learn more. I don't know whether I demonstrated this, but I hope you are motivated to learn more about, for example, Marina Abramovic, or you are interested in performative methodology, which is very useful for language learning, and it's just started to be people just started to talk about it in Ukraine. So I believe it will be the next breakthrough in a few years. So I decided to start this conversation today. So yeah, to be motivated to learn more. What are the challenges and how to establish this atmosphere? There should have been a question, and I will ask you to type in the chat. What are the challenges in creating an English-speaking environment, in establishing this atmosphere for you? Working online. Yeah, that's just terrible. Mother tongue interference, okay, grading. Yes, that's the biggest problem. The place where they're not corrected all the time, but are given a chance to explain. Yeah, different levels of English. Time limit. Time limit is actually a good thing. Students have different preferences. Yes. Motivation. Lack of vocabulary. Okay. Amount of students. Grading again. What is the challenge? Good lesson planning. That's my challenge too, all the time, because to have a very good lesson of 45 minutes, you have to plan it for at least 2 hours. Creating friendly atmosphere. Quite a challenge, really. Motivation, gain the confidence of students. Official curriculum. I shouldn't be saying that, but I do not represent the authorities. So yes, official curriculum was my biggest challenge with my students, and I suffered from it so much that we had to have these double standards. I don't know, students. Yeah, it's quite a problem. Positive atmosphere where children will be eager to communicate and supposed not to be corrected. Lack of vocabulary. Kids are often shy to speak even in their mother tongue. Different levels of language competence among students. Okay, this questionnaire is actually for me. I will save it so I can continue with this topic to talk about different levels of language. That's quite a challenge. The big amount of students in the classroom, it is also quite a challenge. Working online and having performance and this atmosphere, oh my God. Whenever I think about it, it breaks my heart. And grading and curriculum. These are the biggest problems. And we have to become the challenge for these problems. We have to challenge ourselves, and we have to challenge our students in any case. But here I will put this thing, language barrier. That's about confidence, that's about motivation, and that's also a little bit about different levels of students. Creating this atmosphere, for making this atmosphere, language is never an obstacle. Right? And you have to remind your students all the time that they are not going to speak perfectly right away. I am not speaking perfectly. You are not speaking perfectly. We are not speaking perfectly in Ukrainian, really. But it's not about knowing a lot of vocabulary. It's about completing the task. And we move this focus on the task itself. I will show you one of the tasks. We need to understand where the language barrier comes from, how it built up within one or the other student, and how to predict and overcome the language barrier. For example, the most widespread reason of a language barrier is the fear of mistake. We lose our confidence when we are afraid to make a mistake. And so we have to create this atmosphere where students know that there are no mistakes in speaking. There are mistakes in tests. There are mistakes no mistakes in communicating as long as you understand each other. Yeah, if it's a speaking test, of course, a mistake would have outcomes. But in communication, when the task is to understand each other and complete the task, we are not talking about the accuracy of speaking. And we still have to pay attention to it. For example, student says, "I'm scaring snakes." And we're like, instead of saying, "This is wrong, should be present simple," we say, "You're scared of snakes." Me too. I'm scared of snakes too. Yes, I'm scared of snakes, just like you. And we again, we move the focus from the thing of correcting the mistake to finding something in common. The way you correct mistakes matters the most in this language barrier thing. So try to catch yourself whenever someone is making a mistake. What can you do to change the focus from actual correcting the mistake to finding something in common and making it a positive thing. Yeah, this is the main thing for developing this confidence and lowering this language barrier thing, correcting mistakes. And I don't think we have time for another game. I will just show you. So we have here a very simple activity, which is completely not about the language. It's a game, kind of a game, yeah. So the task is to think of a logo and think of some other logos, what they produce, what they offer, what kind of products or services, and think of some other logos that you know very well. Then work in pairs and think of the some people think the name of a brand is very important. What do you think is the reason why it is important? That's a very interesting question. This is for B2 level. And you can ask your students, someone said the time limit. You can limit the time and give your students 5 minutes and ask them, okay, find at least 5 reasons or list at least 10 reasons why is it important, why the name of a brand is important. In that case, the focus will be very much on the task because your students have time limit and they have the limited amount of things they have to they list. Yeah, just talking can be also good if you have time, but here the more limitations you put here, the better communication can come out. Just adding a little bit of a stress. In this case, I'll just check what's going on in the chat. Okay. Moving on. Now, another thing is, can you think of at least 2 companies that have family names that are in a different language, not English, that have word play in the name? And you will see as well what your students are interested in, yeah, and you can make something out of it. And again, it's not about English, but it will be done in English because you set the rules, you set this atmosphere, and most logos are coming from the USA or from the internet, which is also very much in English. This is a speaking activity. For this activity, you can develop this activity and ask your students to discuss in pairs, make up a completely new company and discuss just to play with it. Discuss what are the products or services and plan what the logo could be for their own company. And you can tell them here that it is allowed to say anything, even if it sounds very crazy or someone might think it's stupid. The main rule is not to criticize the ideas and to brainstorm these ideas. For more developed situation and for funny communication, you can ask your students to start each phrase and to see where their conversation can lead them. Maybe someone knows this activity. This is yes and no and activity. So, for example, I would say, let's make a company that will produce flowers. And another one says, he already or she has the beginning. No, I would like to make a company that produces telephones. And then, no, I would like to make, and every time there should be a new sentence, but they have the beginning. Another way you just ask them, okay, finished here, complete, continuing the discussion into yes. The beginning of the sentence would be yes, but. So, okay, let's start again. Let's make a company that makes pencils. Yes, but it should be the pencils should be very specific, so everybody wants our pencils. Yes, but the pencils are so simple that how can we make them specific? Yes, but and so on and so on. And then you give them the yes and approach, where students would say, yes, and maybe we should also make pens. Yes, and these pens should be done in this creative way, and they make up this way with yes and thing. Yes, and the logo could be a pencil and a pen dancing with each other. Yes, and it would be yellowy, and so on and so on. So the beginnings of the phrases give you this flow of the communication. And also at the end of the activity, your students will see that how the approaches work. If they work in this yes and thing, they build on, and they get more productive, and they will see that agreeing on something and building up is much more productive way of idea generation at the beginning without any criticism. Of course, later they can think of it critically and sweep away all the strangeness in their ideas. And when we think of what makes teenagers communicate, teenagers have spent on an average 70% of their time with peers and media, making them their role models rather than their own parents or other healthy mentors in their lives. That is very important part here, but it's very much connected to this reward hormone, dopamine, which we can provide in much bigger amounts if we just change our mindset and find this reward system for our lessons. And the biggest reward for teenagers would be involvement and fun. Yeah, this is what it says, that each time we check a Twitter feed on TikTok, we encounter something novel and feel more connected socially in a kind of weird, impersonal cyber way. Our brain gets a dollop of reward hormones telling us we accomplished something. So connected socially, that's the key here. What we have to do at our lessons is to take care of strong social connections between us and the students, and between students with each other. And this is only possible when we give this example, when we have this habit of social connections with others. This is the only way. This is the only way to start from yourself and to be so motivated by whatever you do and be so into social connection that your students just get contagious and have no choice but to repeat this behavior. How to turn your classroom into the world of English? It's not about naughty students and the influence of social media. It's about their awareness of their own success and about their social interaction. For that, you need to have very specific goal for the lesson, which you announce to your students. You let students process what they need to achieve to succeed. and you need to leave space for self-evaluation, because the action which is performative, as I started, it's an action when you can when you can have the self-reflection. Yeah, tasks can lead to flow if they fulfill the following conditions. There is a balance between challenge and skills. So it's not very easy, but not too hard. The student's attention is focused on the task, not on the linguistic side. The students find the task interesting or authentic. The student perceives a self of control. There are very specific rules, and everybody respects the rules. Oh, sorry. This is just for the books. There were examples from Think level 3. We also have these great Prepare course, Super Minds for younger learners, Kids Box, and there are also great Cambridge One training sessions for all of these courses, and all the courses of Cambridge University Press and Assessment are built on the idea of developing these skills and socializing students. The Linguist Company is the official distributor of Cambridge University Press and Assessment in Ukraine. So if you're interested in that, please contact your representative, which is me. You can contact me. These are my contact details. That's it from me for today. And I will just check what's going on in the chat. That's it. Thank you very much. And I'm wishing you the very best weekend. I'm wishing you to be eager to study, to be motivated to study something new all the time. This is how you make your students to gain this motivation. You are the main source of motivation. Remember about that. And remember that you are the main source of socialization of the students. You are the example. So be the best example for your students and catch any fallacies you might transfer to them. Enjoy the weekend. Goodbye. Thanks a lot for attending this session.